welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys my tarot and oracle card collection. I'm going to go through and show you my favorite decks, the ones I really recommend, why I like them, and I'm also going to give you guys a tour of my magical champagne rack. Long story short, if you follow me on Instagram, which please do, it will be down in my description box and right here somewhere. You've probably seen pictures or videos of this fixture where I keep all of my magical supplies. This was originally a fixture in a grocery store that held champagne bottles. And because of my top secret VIP connections, I was able to actually get 2 of these. So I have another one in my living room where I keep a bunch more of my books and random stuff. But this one is in my bedroom, and this is where I keep the majority of my magical supplies. My crystals, things I use for ritual work, my cards, my books, all that stuff. Every time I post this on my Instagram stories though, people message me like, what is that? Where did you get that? Like, I want to see what's going on here. So I figured I'd give you guys a tour. I moved this across to my room because I usually keep it in another corner of my bedroom that gets like 0 light. So I moved it over here to show you guys. Before I jump into showing you guys my favorite decks and all that good stuff, I'm going to show you guys a quick tour of my magical champagne fixture. So we will do that now. Okay, so starting up at the top here, this is where I keep all of my oils, all my essential oils, one of my incense holders. This is where I have my sage and my Palo Santo, my lighters, all that stuff. Down here, this is where I keep all of my pocket stones. So all of my different crystals that I carry with me in my pockets when I leave the house, stuff like that. That is a picture of my mom and her cat, who are both in spirit, so shout out to them. I also have my incense here. My favorite incense is the White Magic. That's my favorite. And then I'm also a really big fan of this one. It's the Moon. So love those. I have a bunch of different other ones, frankincense, California white sage. So then I have my Astro dice. This is my little mermaid jewelry holder that I use to specifically hold like my crystal jewelry. So I'm obsessed with hematite rings. I kind of collect these. If you don't know, hematite is like a really delicate stone. It breaks pretty easily, especially these rings. So what I actually do when I buy those is I set an intention with them of like a manifestation, typically like a small manifestation. And then, yeah, it never fails that they break right around the time that the manifestation happens. I keep all of my broken ones, my broken bracelets. I keep all my broken crystals. This is my worry stone that says love. This one broke right around the time I started like dating my boyfriend. So it obviously served its purpose. Then I also keep my crystal bracelets here. And then these are my mom's earrings that she wore on her wedding day. Then I have some larger stones that I don't carry with me, but that I use for like ritual work. I like to use my orange calcite when I am scripting. I have this spray. So this spray and these 3 candles here were gifted to me by my brother and his girlfriend. So shout out to them. They're probably not watching this, but anyways, these were made by like a local Reiki master. So this is an amethyst infused sage, lavender, and cedarwood smudge spray that was Reiki charged under the full moon. It smells amazing. I'm obsessed. And these are candles that have crystals and like sage in them and stuff. So this is amethyst infused lavender and rosemary healing candle. As you can see, Reiki charged during meditation. These smell fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I will leave the name of the like shop, the Reiki master that they bought these from. This is citrine infused oak moss and basil healing candle. I'm obsessed. They smell amazing. They're beautiful. So that's kind of like my crystal situation over here. Also, my boyfriend bought me one of Alchemy by Alaire's amulets, the prosperity amulet. If you guys are not familiar with Leora Alexandra on YouTube, she has a high vibrational jewelry line. I just really like the card. I kept it here. So down here is where the tarot begins. So I do keep my self-love spell jar here. I made a video making this. I think I'm gonna start making more of them. Anyways, back to the story. So this is where my oracle cards began. I have a bunch of different oracle cards. These are like my favorite ones that I use all the time. I just got the Tarot in Wonderland for Christmas. Haven't used it yet. Just got the Black Moon Astrology cards. But then I also have some like the Muse Tarot, Radleigh Valentine Angel Tarot cards, Animal Oracle cards, or Tarot cards, Oracle cards. Now, down here is where I keep more of my tarot cards, usually the ones that come in like the really big boxes, and my books. Now, back here, I have notebooks. These are old notebooks. I never throw my notebooks away. I have more, but these are just a few old notebooks that I scripted in, wrote down YouTube stuff, randomly coloring in there, meditation, like scripting during meditation, random shit. As you can see, I keep all these. They're really fun to look back on. I highly suggest, writing your entire life down in a notebook. But anyways, this is also where, okay, so I've got more tarot cards, and then books. So I have like all of my astrology books down here. I have Dr. Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural. I'm currently reading this book. I have just random books that I've either had forever and I love, or books that I'm currently reading or have yet to read. And then over here, more books. Astrology and fortune telling. This is like a magic ceremony ritual book. Psychic Intelligence by the Psychic Twins. I was obsessed with the Psychic Twins many years ago when I was first kind of like realizing that I had psychic abilities and I was really confused and I didn't know what was going on. Spiritualism and Clairvoyance for Beginners. That was another book I read in the beginning of realizing I was clairvoyant. A Dream Encyclopedia, Law of Attraction. This book by Doreen, Virtue, Signs from Above. It has stories of people kind of explaining like different times that they had like synchronicities or like magical things happen that they knew it was somebody trying to communicate with them. That is where I keep most of my magical stuff. I have more that I keep in like certain parts of my apartment. I have more crystals I keep in certain parts of my apartment, but this is just like the main stuff that I utilize. And like I said, it usually goes in a different corner of my bedroom, and it's just like my magical corner. It's also really great because I will just sage the entire champagne fixture when I'm wanting to cleanse all of my stuff. So yeah, that is my magical champagne tower. And I do also like switch this up a lot. So I move things out of here, replace it with new things. You know, like I had to add these candles in here because they're new. I definitely move things around. I'll rotate out books. So if there's books that I have already read or that are just old that I want to move to my other fixture in the living room, so I can make room for new books and stuff like that. So I'm always kind of switching this up. I love to rearrange it. I like to merchandise it. And you know, like I'll take everything off and clean it and sage it and re-merchandise it. So this is always kind of being switched up. And yes, there's cards everywhere. So this is always kind of being switched up and rearranged. And I move things, you know, I take things out of here, I put them back. So yeah, this is my favorite thing in my whole apartment. All right, guys, so now let's jump into some of my favorite tarot and oracle card decks. I'm looking down because I have a ton, like all of these are in front of me. I'm not gonna go through every single deck I have. I really just wanna show you guys like my favorites, ones I've had for a really long time, the ones I really recommend. We'll start with the tarot cards. So the very first deck that I have to show you guys is the very first tarot deck I ever purchased. Now, I purchased my first deck about maybe 3 years ago, but I didn't really start collecting them until about a year ago. I sat with this one deck for a couple years and learned how to read cards before I really ever bought any others. Now I have about 25 or maybe 27 decks, tarot and oracle together. Probably within a year, I will have doubled that. The very first deck I ever bought that I absolutely love and that I recommend to anyone, I believe it's called Tarot Your Way. And you can get this anywhere. I think I got this at Barnes & Noble for $10. I'm sure you could get it on Amazon. You could get it online somewhere. I am obsessed with this deck because of the fact that it is such a great deck to learn how to read cards with. It's definitely very inspired by the original Rider-Waite deck. It has very similar images on the card, but a bit more modern, I guess you could say. But the images on this deck are just absolutely fantastic. Like I said, especially if you're learning how to read cards, this is just such a great deck. The images are so good. I love it. Now, sadly, what happened is this deck got wet. So I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't tell, but some of my cards are bent and it just doesn't like shuffle the way that it once did. So I am actually planning to repurchase this deck because I want a brand new one because I love this deck so much. It's small, it fits in your hand really, really well. It's easy to shuffle. The cards are sturdy but yet flimsy, so it shuffles really well. I'm just obsessed with this deck. It's, you know, considered like a beginner deck. I think it's amazing. If it wasn't bent to shit, I would still use this in like pick a card readings and stuff, which is why I want to buy a new one. I love this deck. So yeah, this is the Tarot Your Way. I'm going to put all of these cards, I will put them down in the description box. I will look up who they're by if I'm not sure, because this one, I don't know who created this deck. I will find out. You should really get this deck. I'm obsessed with it. I don't really care if it's a beginner deck. This is what I learned on, and it's Old Faithful for me. That brings me to the original Rider-Waite Tarot. So I actually have two of these now. This is the classic tarot deck, like the original tarot deck that pretty much all other decks are created after. Mine just have this like white backing on the card. This is a great deck again to learn with. Obviously the Rider-Waite Tarot deck is the classic deck, but the Rider-Waite Tarot deck is so great because it has really great symbolism in the images on the cards. When you're learning tarot, like specifically if you're beginning, I really suggest getting a deck that has a really good like image depicted on the card. So the Rider-Waite is a good one. The one I just showed you guys is a good one because a lot of decks, especially like the more modern ones, will have very like minimal image on them or just not like real people on the deck, and it will make it difficult to learn. And you know, then like once you kind of understand how to read tarot, then I would maybe suggest moving on to the more like unique modern decks that don't really have like people on the cards or a really clear image of what's going on. Because decks like that are really more for like truly intuitively reading the cards and basing it off of how the card makes you feel. And something like the Rider-Waite has really great images, so you have a lot to look at. There's a lot of like context clues. You can really see like what's going on in the card. There's a clear scene that is taking place. So the Rider-Waite is, of course, a great deck. The next deck I'm going to show you guys, this is a deck that I bought and did not expect to love as much as I do. I use it all the time. This is the Vivid Journey Tarot by Jessica Alaire, I think is how you say her last name. So this deck is awesome. First of all, I love it because it's small and fits in my hand. I have small hands, and I'm sure if you read cards, you know that sometimes like if there's a lot of decks that are just so big that they're really hard to shuffle. I have a few in here that are huge that I'm going to show you guys that I wish were smaller. But this one is small. It's really easy to shuffle. This deck is unique because the creator of it wanted to really incorporate color as like the symbolism and the meaning behind the cards. So there's a lot of really beautiful color in the card. Like as you can see, like the Queen of Cups is like all blue, different shades of blue. There's like some magentas, greens, yellow, orange. Like there's no black in this deck. This one, the Devil, this is actually like one of my favorite cards in this deck. It has this like magenta and purple. So it has really cool images on the cards. I wasn't expecting to love this deck as much as I do, but the images on the card are like really great images that are depicted. The colors definitely really help you to understand like what the card is portraying. I really like this deck. So this is the Vivid Journey. This is a great deck. I would definitely suggest this one. The next tarot deck is the Legacy of the Divine Tarot. And again, I'll put the names of the creators in the description box. But this deck is, I call this deck my spiritual tarot deck. So this deck has, I don't know, it feels more magical to me. It's a little less, I mean, even though it still has like real people on the cards, something about it just feels a bit more like spiritual and magical to me. Just like the images that are on the cards. I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that the cards are black. There's just something dark about them. I don't know. Something about it is just like video game-ish to me almost. I really like this deck. This is another one of those small decks that's easy to shuffle. I use this deck a lot. The images again on this card are really great. There's the Hermit. The Strength card is one of my favorite cards in this deck. This girl just looks like so royal and so, I don't know if you can see that, so royal and regal, and like the lions in there. I don't know. I really like this deck. Something about it feels magical to me. It's definitely my more spiritual deck that I like to use, but it still has really realistic images on the card. Really great images. So again, this would be a good deck to learn with. This is kind of just a more like animated almost looking version of like a traditional deck. The next deck that I'm going to show you guys, I've actually have yet to use this. I just got this deck. It's the Wonderland in Tarot deck. This is by Barbara Moore. So this is Alice in Wonderland. I am obsessed. First things first, the book that comes with this is like legit. Like the book is awesome. It has like color images on it. I mean, it's such good quality. This is like a full-on book. And I'm gonna read it. I wanna read the whole thing. A lot of the times I don't read the book that comes with it. Sometimes I will, depends on the deck. But I'm really excited to read this because they have like excerpts from the book. Like the Death card has like quotes from the book and stuff. But I'm really excited to use this. Again, I love the deck because it's small, it's easy to shuffle, fits in my hand nicely, and we've got cards flying. The images on this deck are awesome. So, oh my God, I'm just obsessed. I can't wait to use this. So like the Wheel of Fortune, so awesome. Such a cool, like so much color. This is the Death card. So much color in here. Look at the Nine of Cups. Smoking hookah. Like I can't wait to use this. This is awesome. I will definitely be using this in like a pick a card reading soon. I'm so excited. The cards feel good. They're shiny and just like such colorful, vibrant images. They did a great job with this deck. It's illustrated by Eugene Smith. So shout out to Eugene because he killed it. The next tarot deck I want to talk about. I really love this deck. I wish the cards were smaller, but it is what it is. Whenever there's a deck where the cards are really large and don't fit in my hand well, I just have to shuffle them a different way. It still works. And I have pretty small hands. But this is, which one is this? The Angel Tarot by Radleigh Valentine. So Radleigh Valentine has several decks. The reason I love this deck so much, the connection I have with this deck is different than the connection I have with my other decks. There's just something about these cards. It is always, every card that falls out, every card that I pull, it's always like almost scary how perfect of a card comes out. I don't even know how to explain it. There's something magical about these cards. It just tells such a great story. The reason for that is because of the description that is on the card. So Radleigh Valentine's decks will all have a description of the card on the deck, which is great if you're a beginner. But these like really nail the energy of the card perfectly. So like the image on the card is very like fairy-like. It's very like, I'm trying to find the right spot to put this. It's very fairy-like and very like whimsical. So although it doesn't give like a great depiction of what is happening as far as like, you know, the Rider-Waite clearly shows like a scene that's happening on the card, the description on these is amazing. So like the Page of Earth, Page of Pentacles, it says scholarly, dependable, patient, successful, good news about financial matters, wanting to do something more challenging, a new area of study. So I love it because it gives you like multiple meanings of the cards that are like the traditional meanings of the cards. They're just really great cards. They're always like so accurate, so on point. Ace of Air, which is Ace of Swords. It says brilliant new ideas and inspirations, seeing the truth of a situation, a challenging beginning. The Empress, lavish abundance, give birth to your dreams, nurture yourself and others. It just has really great descriptions on the cards. So this is a good one. Definitely, I would say for a beginner, if you're really wanting to like learn the meanings of the cards, something like this would be really good. So any of Radleigh Valentine's decks are awesome. I have 2 more decks I want to show you guys of tarot before we move on to Oracle. I have more tarot decks than this, but we really just will be here all day. So this one is the Muse Tarot. This is a pretty popular deck. The colors of these cards are gorgeous, and the images on these cards, the color is insane. They are so, so beautiful. Like here's the 10 of materials, 10 of pentacles, just gorgeous. There's a lot of like roses and flowers, a lot of really bright colors, like the Empress. She has like planets all around her. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. Now, I love this deck. I don't know if I would suggest it for everyone. I have heard some tarot readers say that they don't work with this deck because the colors are actually overwhelming. If you're really, really sensitive, these cards might overwhelm you. When I first got this deck, they overwhelmed me. I didn't have a very easy time reading these cards, and I kind of had to rely on the fact that I know the meanings of the cards when I was first learning to work with this deck. The more I worked with it, the more I started to fall in love with it. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't recommend it, but I would say that this is more for like a more advanced reader. If you're brand new to reading tarot, I don't know if I would suggest this, although I don't want to tell you no, because everybody reads cards differently. Some people are going to read cards like based off of the color. You know, some people are not going to care so much about the actual image on the card, and it still does have good imagery. Like the Strength card is still like a pretty traditional depiction of the Strength card. It's one of those decks that could be overwhelming for some people. It might be like too much, but I really do love this deck. It's beautiful, and what I like about it is that there's no men involved in the whole deck. It's all women, it's all females. So the reason it's called the Muse is because the king cards are actually called the Muse. So the Muse of materials, so it's all women. So it's a really cool deck. So yeah, this is another one that I've grown to love. And it's beautiful, beautiful artwork on these cards. Okay, so the last deck I'm gonna show you guys, this is one of the more unique decks I have, I would say. And it's a deck that I love, but sadly, I never use it. So I wanted to kind of give you guys like a little mini review of this deck. This is the Ink and Intuition Tarot deck. This is created by a tattoo artist. So if you're into tattoos, this is awesome. You would really like this. I absolutely love the images on these cards. So like here's the Queen of Swords. It's very tattoo, like that vibe. I mean, of course, obviously it's Ink and Intuition. Really, I mean, the artwork on these is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. So much talent went into this deck, but I'm gonna tell you why I don't love it. The cards are so thick and like they're very sturdy, but they're so thick that it's honestly really difficult to work with this deck. First of all, I can barely even shuffle it like this way because it's too big for my hands. So again, if you have bigger hands, you probably won't find this to be a problem. But even just trying to shuffle the cards like this, they're so firm and like sturdy that for me, they just don't shuffle that great. This is one of those decks that I love, that I always want to use, but whenever I reach for it, I'm like, I just can't work with it. Like it's too heavy. The cards are too like hard, and I like flimsier decks. So if you're somebody that has small hands like me, if you like little decks that are just like easy to work with, easy to shuffle, like cards just fly out, like they're just easy, then honestly, I wouldn't really suggest the Ink and Intuition because it's a hard deck to work with. I really struggle with this deck. I want to love it. It's beautiful. I love, love, love the images on the cards, but unfortunately, This one was just, it didn't really work out for me. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys one that I don't love. So no offense to the creator of this deck. It's a beautiful deck. If you have larger hands, you would probably really love this, but for me, it was a bit of a flop. Okay, so now let's jump into my favorite oracle decks. I have a lot more oracle decks than I do tarot decks. I love oracle cards, so I try to narrow it down to like my ultra faves and the ones that I really think that you need to have just based off of my collection. Keep in mind, I have about 50 more decks on my wish list, like currently, and it's ever constantly growing. So there's a lot of decks that I wish I had that I would recommend to you guys that I just haven't purchased yet. So this is just my favorites out of the ones I have. But like there's some oracle decks that I'm like, oh, that's like my favorite deck, but for whatever reason I've not bought it yet. I've just seen like other readers use it a lot. We're manifesting it. It's fine. We're gonna collect them all. The first one I'm gonna talk about, this is a very popular deck, but it's one that I think every single person who reads cards needs to have. This is the Moonology Oracle deck by Yasmin Boland. This deck is so fantastic because you do not have to know anything about astrology to work with this deck. It is such an easy deck to work with. It's a great deck if you are trying to learn about the moon, learning the phases of the moon, learning how to work with the moon. It has really straightforward messages on it. So new moon in Scorpio, work through your fears. The mutable moon, nothing is yet set in stone. So this deck gives you just really clear messages, and it's beautiful. I mean, this is a beautiful deck, like full moon in Sagittarius. Look at the bigger picture. It's just a beautiful deck. I love working with this deck. It's a good size. It's not too big. The cards are really smooth. They feel good. The book that comes with this is a really great book. It's a great deck for like someone who is just getting into astrology, someone who's really into the moon. It's a classic deck. I feel like everybody already has this deck and loves and knows this deck, but I had to add it in there because it's that good. I use it all the time. The next two decks these are both by Rebecca Campbell. This is the Starseed Oracle and the Work Your Light Oracle. Again, the images on these are amazing. This is a very similar texture and size as the Moonology deck. They're a good size for your hands. They're big, but they're not too big. They're really smooth. And I just absolutely love these cards. These are cards that are really good for people who are like a bit more on the like very spiritual side, I would say, especially the Starseed Oracle if you're somebody that resonates with the concepts of star seeds and indigo children. You would really like the Starseed Oracle. This is maybe not a deck for just like the average everyday person who's learning tarot. I don't know. I mean, there's no rules in tarot, but I'm just trying to give you like my recommendations. If you're very spiritual and if you really resonate with the more like woo-woo type of stuff, you would really like these decks. The images on these cards are like breathtakingly beautiful. The cosmic hearts, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. Beautiful cards. I mean, they're like watercolor, like pastels. Do you hear that? Surrender to the sweetness, Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. Just such beautiful, beautiful images on the cards. Star family, you're part of a team of souls, call in support. A new earth. So that's the Starseed, and then this is the Work Your Light. And this is another great one. Sisterhood of the Rose, beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. Beautiful cards. Like, oh my God, just such a great job with these cards. Star Mother, how can you mother yourself? So yeah, I'm really into these. I love these. These were on my wish list. They were gifted to me by my boyfriend. A lot of these cards were gifted to me by my boyfriend. So shout out to him for supporting, you know, the witches of the world. So yeah, love these. Okay, the next deck is one of my current favorites. These are the Spellcasting Oracle cards. I really am enjoying working with this deck. There's just great cards in here, like financial health, courage, willpower, clarity, protection, transformation, family, closure, beauty, spirit guides, psychic abilities, like you name it. It just has everything. So I really, really love this one. Again, all these cards just have such beautiful images on them. But this is one of those decks that whenever I use it, the perfect card just always comes out in every reading. Like, it's always just like spot on. The most perfect card just always comes out whenever I use these. So I've been working with this one a lot lately. I really, really love it. This is just another one of those decks. I have a connection with this deck, like, immediately. Something about it just speaks to me. I don't know. I really, really love this one. So I suggest this. I got this at Barnes & Noble. Okay, so the next one, these are the Energy Oracle cards. These are really popular. I'm sure you've seen these on YouTube. I love that they're numbered. I love any deck that has a number. But this has just so many cards in it, like action, caring connections, door to personal healing and happiness. It has the chakras. It just has so many different cards. You could just really gather a lot from these cards, a lot of information. The book that comes with these cards are awesome. Rest and rejuvenation. So I like the images. I like that it has numbers. This is a really popular deck. It's another one of those decks that's just always on point. It's always accurate. The perfect card always falls out. So I really love this deck. Financial constraints, like, it just has everything in here. So really like this one. Okay, I also just wanted to quickly show you guys these two decks. These are by Doreen Virtue. I'm not going to get into my feelings on Doreen Virtue. I'm happy for her that she found Christianity, but basically, like, saying that all tarot readers and tarot decks are like the devil's work or whatever she said is kind of shady, since she, like, made millions of dollars off of this before she converted to Christianity. But anyways, we love you, Doreen. Thank you for giving us these amazing decks. Anyways, this is the Magical Messages from the Fairies deck. I really like this one. I don't use it often, but it is a good deck. I like it because it's very practical. Like, this is a great deck for anyone. It's practical, it's straight to the point, it's not too woo-woo. Like this one, like, there's a pregnancy card in this deck. We've got travel, it has sun, there's a daughter card, vegetarian. So it's a very practical, like, easy to understand deck. Everything's okay. And it does have little messages on the bottom. So like this one says, emotional healing. As your heart heals of old emotional pain, you receive new blessings and love. Be yourself. This situation calls for you to be your authentic self, which is the basis for your personal power. Dietary change. Ask for what you want. Business venture. Get some exercise. Children. Birthday. Your wish is granted. So yeah, this is a really good, like, practical deck. I like this one a lot. This one is the Mermaids and Dolphins, Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle cards. I really like this one too. This is maybe one of the first Oracle decks I bought. This is another one. I mean, Doreen Virtue makes fantastic decks. It's just a fact. She really does. Soulmate relationship, new romance with a spiritual basis is here for you now. And this has just, like, really pretty images of dolphins and mermaids. So if you like dolphins and mermaids, you would love this deck. Make a decision, feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision. So again, really practical, really straightforward messages. Have faith. You're being helped, healing heart, make a wish, protection, stay optimistic, mother healing, father healing, watch your thoughts, treasure chest. So yeah, I really like both of these decks from Doreen Virtue. I think these are the only decks I have by Doreen Virtue. She does make good decks. I would like to purchase more, but these are the two I have, and I do really like these. So this deck I wanted to show you guys because I don't think I've ever seen anybody on YouTube use this deck before. So maybe it's just not as popular, but I really like this deck. This is the Animals Messages deck. And like I said, I will list the creator of the deck because I know there's like a million different animal decks out there. But I really like this deck. It has so many different animals with, like, a really good little message with it. So the bee, hard work is rewarded with responsibility and a sweetness that is shared. We've got the wild horse, the sloth, the fox, the llama, eagle, create your vision, scorpion, the lion, spider, travel will open up new possibilities and one special connection. Got the porcupine, the beaver. I mean, I really, really like these cards. There's all sorts of animals in here. I enjoy working with these. The red squirrel. Gather your resources now, for they will sustain you through coming change. This card kept coming out when I was in the process of getting a new apartment. So I like specifically remember that. There's the baboon, the deer. So yeah, I wanted to suggest this one to you guys because I really do like it. I also really like this deck because a lot of animal decks will not come with like a description on the card. So this is a good deck to use if you're learning about like spirit animals and learning about what animal represents what. A lot of the decks will just like have the animal on there, and maybe it'll have like one word that goes with it or something. But if you are just learning about spirit animals, I think this deck would really help you to kind of get familiar on like what different animals symbolize. So then that brings me to my next animal deck. So I just got the Wild Unknown Tarot and the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit. I'm like late to the game on these decks, but I finally got them. So these cards are amazing and beautiful, but it's very different than the animal deck I just showed you guys. Images are awesome on here, but like here's the moth. So if you don't know, you know, like the symbolism of different animals, you would have to either look in the book or just read this card intuitively, which you can definitely do. Some people never read the book or know anything about animals. They just read the card intuitively. But these are really beautiful. I cannot wait to use these. They do have a corresponding element with them, so that does give you some, you know, clues. Like the phoenix, I mean, beautiful card. I'm obsessed. I can't wait to use these. The snake. There is a lot of like symbolism in these cards for sure. Because we've got the oyster, the whale, the raccoon, the eagle, the stingray, the starfish. I love these cards. I'm so excited that I finally have these. Like I love the vulture. It has like black and purple. So this is definitely a card that you can read intuitively and just get like, how does it make you feel, that sort of thing. The dragonfly, I love this one. So yeah, I'm really excited to use this deck and the Wild Unknown Tarot. I'm sure you guys will be seeing these soon in a pick a card video. The next and last animal deck I'm going to show you guys, I really love this deck. This is the Divine Animal Oracle by Stacy Demarco. These are like the perfect animal cards in my opinion. First of all, they have beautiful images on them. They have everything that I want. They have beautiful images, they have numbers, and then they do have a word, a descriptive word for the animal. So like for example, this is a number 8 card. It's the sea turtle and it says stability. So I really love these because they just have a little bit of everything. Like it doesn't have too much of a description. You're still able to read the card intuitively without getting like distracted by the description that they're giving you. It has a good image. It has the number because I really love numerology. And it has a lot of really cool animals in here. So like number 39, the peacock, prosperity. Number 12 card, fruit bat, flying fox, kindness. So it has a lot of like unique animals in there. The lynx, secrets, number 2. Such beautiful images on these cards. So, oh, my favorite, intuition, the cat card, number 37 with the 2 black cats. So yeah, I really suggest this one. This is a new deck for me, but I've seen it used so many times. The meerkat, responsibility. I love this deck. This is probably like my number 1. If you're gonna get an animal deck, get the Divine Animals Oracle. I love this one. All right, so I have 2 more decks for you guys, and I'm saving my favorite for last. I was like, should I do this one first because I love it so much? But no, I'm saving it for last. So hopefully, you know, the real OGs stuck around till the end of the video so you can see my favorite one. But second to last, this deck right here is the Soul's Journey Lesson cards. These, again, are great because they're just so straightforward. They add so much to a reading because they're just straightforward. So like we have patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. I'm sure you guys have seen these cards. This is another popular deck. Acceptance. I am learning to accept things that I cannot control. So it does have like that big pop of color and then like a very straightforward message. So we have like grief, relationships, failure, empathy, success, balance, fear, discipline, judgment, humor, honesty, imagination. So this deck is awesome. I love this deck. We have love, health, abundance, adversity, worry. So this is like a really in-depth deck. There's a lot of different like soul lessons that are represented in this deck, so I love this one. Last but not least, this is without a doubt, I would say probably, at least right now, my favorite Oracle deck, and I just got this one as a gift from my boyfriend, so shout out again to him. Anyways, these are the Black Moon astrology cards. I'm sure you have seen these before on YouTube. The Gem Goddess, if you guys watch her, she uses these all the time in her readings. I have one of these cards for so long, and I don't know why I never bought them for myself, because I'm obsessed with them. Now, don't ask me, I'm weird. I will want things and just never buy them for myself. But anyways, the only thing I don't love about this deck is that it's really big. But again, I just have to shuffle it a different way. So I have to shuffle it like this way instead of the normal way of shuffling. I'm obsessed with these cards. If you are into astrology, you absolutely need this deck. Something I wasn't anticipating when I got this deck was that the book that it comes with is so great. The book comes with so much information on these cards that I think like if you're learning astrology, buy this deck, because you could so use these as like flashcards, because the book that it comes with is packed with great information. And these cards have everything you need for like the basics of astrology. So it has all 12 signs, all 12 houses, all of the planets, but then it also has like other more unique cards that you just don't see in astrology decks. Like it has, let me see, Saturn return. It has this one. It's got the Jupiter return. So it's got all the houses. It has part of fortune, increase. I also love these because they have numbers on them. So it's got everything. So Jupiter, abundance, the water element, sensing. So it has like all the elements. It has Black Moon, Lilith, mystery. It has all the houses, all the planets, all of the signs. But then it also has like the different aspects. So we have like a grand cross. I know it has a yod in here. And then it has like the north node is in here, the south node. It has everything. It has everything. Everything you need. The void, of course, moon. So it has everything that you need. These add so much value to a reading and so much more just like in-depth information. I'm obsessed with these cards, you guys. You gotta get them. This is honestly like my #1 recommendation if you are into astrology. And like I said, these would be so fantastic to use to learn astrology. You could literally use these as flashcards. I'm obsessed. I can't wait to use these. And they're just so cool looking. I love the backs of them. They're like such an aesthetic. Okay, you guys, so that wraps it up for my collection. I obviously didn't go through every single deck that I have. I tried to pick out the ones that I just really wanted to show you guys, my favorites, the ones I recommend. Really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave the list of every deck I showed you down below in the description box. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy videos like this. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of my magical champagne fixture. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.